It's the same. No. Actually, Fandango's release history was sort of a little depressing and strange. The movie was released in 1983, but just in New York and Dallas and Toronto. And it didn't do very well at all. And so they took it and put it on the shelf. But one of the producers, if you may have noticed on the film, was a gentleman named Frank Marshall. And he kept championing the film, saying it was a better film than that, and it deserved a chance to be released. And he kept nagging and he kept nagging. And one of the advantages of being a producer for Steven Spielberg is that people listen to you when you nag, because they want to stay on Steven Spielberg's good side. So they said, well, we'll release it again, we'll do a wider release, which they did in 1985. You've got the first weekend. If it does well, we'll keep it going. If it doesn't, don't bother us anymore. And unfortunately, it didn't. But then there was and still is actually, a cable channel called Lifetime. And they, for some reason, started showing this film a lot, and it started getting a gathering of fans. And a group of gentlemen over in England, one of whose name is Alec Musson, who's a friend of mine now, they saw it on BBC 4. And so you know it's a small group if it's watching BBC 4. And they formed a website, and they did some interviews with a couple of us, and it grew a fan base, and they got a DVD released, and it became sort of a popular film on TV and that way. But it was released before and after Falcon and the Snowman.
Which reminds me of something. There are a couple of people here tonight that came just to see this film from out of state. Anybody here from outside Virginia that came to see the film tonight? Where are you from?
Wisconsin.
You came from Wisconsin? Excuse me, Jenny, do you have something for the people from Wisconsin? And I think I saw a hand back.
Bumper sticker.
I'm sorry, Marvin got the last bumper sticker. How about a DVD that he can autograph for you after the film?
Unfortunately, not a Fandango, but I have to grab it.
Well, just kind of quickly, because there's a lot of films we want to cover here, what was Kevin Costner like working with?
It was terrific. As Jenny had up on one of the posters, I don't say this to brag, but I was on 21 films, and this is the only one where I can truthfully say the whole time that I was there, I wasn't there the whole time, but the whole time that I was there, I never saw anybody having anything other than a good time. And everybody was really supportive, and it was great for me because I was probably the most obnoxious one there because I was scared to death that I would blow this. I saw this as my opportunity because, as I said, it had been 8 years that nothing had happened. And I saw this as my opportunity. If I did this right, I knew it was a good part, and if anything happened with the movie, I thought I had a chance to have a career. So I was like this guy that would run off to his room and shake all night long and then come in the next morning and act like I wasn't soiling the wardrobe. But everybody was great. Kevin and Judd was great. The day we worked out all the stuff in the airplane, all that was shot in one day, the stuff with Judd and I. And it was absolutely terrific. He was there in the morning, he and I together, and we got that finished. And in the afternoon, I had, again, as I said on the website interview, I had every actor's dream. It was just me and a movie crew. And there's nothing better. And Kevin Reynolds is just, it doesn't get any better than that.
It's nice to be the center of attention with all the professionals looking at you, and you deliver, and it was wonderful in the film.
Well, thank you. I won't comment on the delivery, but
there were a couple of other people that had a wonderful time making the film. Susie Amos and Sam Robards met.
That is actually where they met, yes, and later on got married in real life. And divorced in real life.
Yeah, she married somebody else?
She fell way down the ladder and had to settle for marrying James Cameron. What do you do?
The director of Titanic and Avatar. That's just a shame. Yeah. And Glenn Headley, you said that she was just a dream to work with. The lady that played your old lady, not your wife.
Yeah. Glenn Headley is, at the time, was John Malkovich's wife, and they were in a theater group called Steppenwolf out of Chicago. And again, this is only something with hindsight because I was so, what do they call it, when you have the blinders
Tunnel
on.
vision.
Tunnel vision, thank you, on this whole thing. But it was just, if I'd have paid much better attention, I think I'd have gotten better a lot quicker, because she really knew her stuff, and she would have these conversations with me, and I realized later on it was to help me figure out things that we could do together. But of course, again, I was too dumb to realize what she was doing, because she was so much better than I was. And so I thank her in absentia, wherever she may be.
And if you were lucky getting that role, what about Chuck Bush?
Oh, this is the best story about the movie for any of you who don't know. Does anybody here actually know Chuck's story? Yes, okay,
He was
thank you.
the giant
Yeah.
that carried the guy.
He was the big guy with the beard. Well, Chuck lived in, where was it, East Texas somewhere, and he was a night watchman. And the guys were out cruising around at night, getting to know each other better, and they stopped at a 7-Eleven, and Kevin walked in, and Chuck was on his break, and he was picking up a Slurpee and who knows what else you can get at 7-Eleven. Hard to tell from looking at him that that's what he ate most of the time. But literally, and it's such a Hollywood cliche, but literally Kevin Reynolds walked up to him and said, "How would you like to be in a movie?" And he said, "Sure."
Cast him on the spot.
And he worked on the movie for 10 weeks, and I only worked on it for 3.5, so I hate him already. And then came out to Hollywood and did a few more films, and it slowed down, and he's now in Louisiana. He has a film production company and does industrials and stuff down there, and it's just, how would you like to be in a movie? I've been trying to get somebody to ask me that for 8 years.
I thought it was kind of cute at the beginning of the film. They said he wanted to be a preacher, and now he does. He makes religious films.
He actually is a licensed preacher also.
Well, you moved on to work with somebody else who's kind of big in the industry. You went from playing this sweet hippie to playing a bad guy in a Western, working with Clint Eastwood in Pale Rider. Let's watch a couple of scenes from Pale Rider where you and Clint didn't quite get along.
Oh, this...
Richard, would you start the next segment, please?
Both on camera and all? No.
I always try to include your credits when they appear on screen.